Hello, parents and family of our ZAGs. Thank you for joining us. I am here to talk with you about housing and residence life experience for your students. My name is John Wheeler. I am the Director of Residence Life on our campus, and my colleague is?
Hi everyone, glad you're here with us. My name is Jared Payton. I'm an Assistant Director in Housing and Residence Life. Glad to be with you today.
Over the next few moments, we're going to go over some specifics about the residential experience for our students. Hopefully you get some good information. And of course, we always welcome your phone calls and emails to our office if you have further questions that we don't answer in this session.
We first want to take an opportunity to introduce to you our excellent staff that is a resource to your ZAG during their time in our residence halls and their home away from home. We hire residence director staff who are master's level professionals who are highly trained. We do very specific training during the summer to prepare them for any type of circumstance that might happen in the residence hall. We also have our graduate residence directors who are master's seeking professional staff members supervised by a residence director. And then they all report to my colleague Drew Satter and I as the assistant directors of residence life. Within our structure of housing, we break up our campus housing structure in what we call blocks. And we have 6 blocks that are supervised by these 6 staff members who engage in the community in terms of crisis response, co-curricular programming, student wellness and positive engagement, creating a home away from home. That's their job, is to ensure that the facilities, the environment, the connection and engagement is a positive experience for your ZAG. To help them in that effort, we also have our housing operations staff. They are housed in Crosby Hall on campus. They do everything in regards to bike locker rentals, housing assignment coordination, student billing, and all that type of behind the scenes administrative tasks that will be important to you and your student. Also in Crosby Hall, we have our leadership team of the director level staff with our senior director of housing and residence life, Dennis Kolstock, who's been here for over 20 years. And then followed with my colleague here, John Wheeler, who's actually my boss, Director of Housing and Residence Life, and then our Associate Director, Stuart Davis, who runs facility engagement. So he and all those staff members are in Crosby Hall, and we're happy to engage with you anytime you have a need, as well as your student during their time here on campus.
So we also have student staff who are going to be resources for your ZAG. Actually, we expect that the student staff will have much more contact with our students than perhaps the professional staff, and that's because they live on the floors with your students. So we have assistant residence directors who, with the residence directors, supervise a number of student staff members. Among them would include the resident assistants. Again, resident assistants live on each wing with the students themselves and would be an immediate access or support system for your students. So our resident assistants are expected to build community, meet individually with residents quite often, address roommate conflict, uphold university policy, and much more. So it is an important touch point for our students, and they do a great job of supporting our students through their academic year. We also have social justice peer educators, 1 per living area, and those students are trained to work with our students from underrepresented populations to support them in their time on campus. But they're also here to help educate our student population at large on issues of social justice and identity, and impact of identity on student experience. And so we would encourage our students to utilize that resource as well. And finally, we have student ministers, and our student ministers live primarily in our first year living areas, and our student ministers are there to serve students regardless of their religious or spiritual background. So not just Catholic, not just Christian, but all faiths and denominations and spiritual journeys are supported by our student ministers. they're there to support folks' reflection on their experience as whole beings in the journey of education and what that means for them, and looking toward their vocation and supporting them in that exploration.
So we had an opportunity to introduce to you our staff. Now let's talk about what our staff does for your ZAG while they're here on campus. They strive to build community in the hall. We do this in a plethora of ways, all informed by our mission and our Jesuit way of being here at Gonzaga. It informs what we call our Gonzaga Residential Curriculum, or Gonzaga Residential Experience, GRX. This is what our students engage, our student leaders engage your students with. So it's going to be relational engagement, one-on-ones, small group engagement, different types of dialogue and learning, large-scale activities when they're created and available. All these items to create a positive experience, a way for your student to have a sense of belonging and development. We focus on holistic development in terms of the mind, body, and spirit of our students who are in our housing areas. And we want them to be the best ZAGs that they can be. We want them to feel that their home in our residence halls is a home away from home, that they are a part of a family unit in the residence hall that they live with, that they have support from the staff that we just introduced you to. And we do everything we can to make sure that it is a positive, developmental, and transformative experience in the community of our residence halls.
So we recognize that there are many common challenges in the first year as students transition from living at home with their family units to living in a new environment around new people, experiencing new levels of academic rigor and the like. So we often see issues of homesickness, roommate conflict, concerns with building new friendships, getting acclimated to the rigor of the college academic experience, and then learning how to make healthy choices and getting through, such as getting enough sleep, eating well, etc. So our student staff are trained to support our students through these concerns. And if you have a student who's calling you over the weekend or at night or in the evening, talking about the fact that they're missing home or that they're having a hard time living with their roommate, we ask that you turn them toward our resident assistants who will hopefully connect with them, find out what their concerns are, and get them connected to the resources on campus that will help them successfully transition into their college experience.
So of course, if a conflict arises with the roommate, and this is a common issue, we do want you to understand that we are there to help. Our primary goal is a resolution, and we desire for the students to be partners with us in seeking that resolution. So in terms of our holistic development and transformative experience, we want students to push through challenges, to develop their resilience. So step one in regards to a roommate conflict is talking to the roommate, talking to them one-on-one. If they come to a consensus and a conclusion of the conflict, then that is excellent. That is what we want in terms of how they are living with each other. If the issue arises, we want the resident assistant to be the next point of touch and point of contact. They will assist your student with the mediation of the room. And of course, if that mediation doesn't work out, our next level of contact as we scale up is our residence director staff, our professional staff, who are in charge of each block area. So we want to do everything we can to scale the approach of our student conflict and learning. And then another thing we want to highlight is that in regards to the COVID-19 era, our housing and residence life is limited to room changes. This is for the health and safety and wellness of our student populations in different block areas. In order to mitigate room changes, we are going to have a couple of approaches. One is to review and revise the roommate agreement that the students go through at the beginning of the semester to see what we can put in place to hold the students accountable in terms of that roommate agreement. They will do the roommate mediation, which is that next level integrated with the RA. And then we're going to constantly affirm appropriate behaviors for sharing a room and setting expectations poor behavior before there's ever a consideration of a room move. The desire is to have a full closure of any conflict within the room to maintain the room so that the spread of potential spread of COVID-19 doesn't go by moving individuals to different areas on campus.
So we strive to create a very safe environment for all of our students to live comfortably on campus. In order to do that, we have student staff who do rounds in the residence halls. And by rounds, I mean they walk the halls and look for concerns, safety concerns, and address anything that they may see. Our campus security officers also do rounds inside the buildings, but then also outside of the buildings, patrolling the grounds of Gonzaga to address any concerns that they may see. But we also need your students to help us in creating a safe environment for all of our community members. So some of the things that our students need to take into consideration when they're living in community on campus is that we want them to purchase renter's insurance. God forbid something happens and there's fire or flood or personal property gets damaged in some form or fashion. If that happens and you have renter's insurance, those damages can be recouped. If not, unfortunately, your damages may not be recovered. We also want students to alert campus security to any people who may be of concern. We are an urban campus and we are near downtown and it is an open campus. And so people have access and can come on campus who don't necessarily belong there. And so if our students recognize someone who might not be a community member, we ask that they reach out to campus security. Campus security will talk with the person, and if they are legitimately on campus, then great. If not, then they will help that individual learn the boundaries of our campus. We also ask that our students be cognizant they need to lock their bikes everywhere they go, every single time. Bikes grow wings and fly away from our students quite often at the beginning of the academic year because they're not being locked and they're easily stolen by people who want to victimize our students by stealing their bikes. We recommend that our students use the U-lock, U-shaped locks that are harder to cut. If they use cable locks, they're easily cut and bikes are taken. We also offer our students in several areas bike lockers, which are storage containers that students can put their bikes in, close the door, and they're enclosed units so that the bike is within an enclosed unit that's lockable. If your student wants to use a bike locker, they just need to let Housing and Residence Life know, and we'll issue them a locker and a key. Some of our buildings have indoor storage, so they can take their bikes inside the building and lock them up there. As well as some of our buildings have bike cages on the exterior of the building, so they're also cages that students can unlock, put their bikes in and relock the cage, and that's available for the students who live in those buildings. We also encourage students to learn to lock their room doors all the time. So if they're going to take a shower, for example, we encourage students to lock the door behind them, put the key on a bungee and put the bungee around their wrist to go take their shower and do what they need to do in the common bathrooms. Our students are very trusting of one another and often leave their doors unlocked with a lot of very expensive property inside. And while we trust that our students have the best interests of each other in mind, we also don't want our students to make it easy for themselves to be victimized. So the way to avoid being victimized is to lock that room door every time they exit the room and take their keys with them and make sure that their roommates are doing the same. Some important numbers to remember are our campus security phone number, which is 509-313-2222. We ask that students put that phone number into their phones when they get to campus. You could also put that phone number in your own phone. Should you need to call campus security, you'll have the number at your disposal. On campus, when students arrive, there is a resident assistant on duty in the evenings and throughout the entire night until the early morning hours. Though the number for the resident assistant on duty is posted in the buildings where that staff member is responsible for doing duty rounds. So we ask that students put that phone number in their phones as well. And then finally, the Housing and Residence Life number is there for you. If, during the business hours, Monday through Friday, we're available for you. You can leave a voicemail with us if it's after hours. That phone number is 509-313-4103, and we will get back with you in a timely manner to address whatever questions or concerns you might have.
The student leadership opportunities that we have available are all in alignment with those student leader roles that John highlighted for us previously. A lot of these applications open up in late November, early December, prior to the end of fall semester, for students to discern if they want to apply for a leadership role. Of course, here in Housing and Residence Life, we're looking for a constant rotation of student leaders to become resident assistants. We are also in partnership with our social justice peer educator role and our student minister role, and we desire for those to be filled as well. I also want to highlight Gonzaga Residence Hall Association. This is a block-wide student government system. It's an excellent catalyst for student leadership development. Your student can get started right in September at the local level, getting director of block council or administrative assistant for block council, financial advisor. All those type of items are excellent job roles and student leadership roles that are a catalyst to a resident assistant, which they would apply for at the end of the semester. So we're always looking for student leaders, influencers, people who are desirous of having a positive community on campus and transforming the student experience the same way that our student leaders will impact your student during their time with us.
So we know that when you drop your student off on campus, your role does not end. Your interaction with your student does not end. You are going to be certainly key members of the support team for the students who live on campus. And we want to partner with you to help your student be as successful as possible. And so some of the things that we would like you to consider as we move through the academic year is if your student calls you with concerns or issues, you know, so for example, they're having a hard time getting to sleep, or they're having a hard time getting to make friends on campus or getting connected to campus activities, we are here to support them, and we know that you will want to support them as well. So give them advice and support as you typically would, but we would also ask that you help them learn how to advocate for themselves. And so one of the things that we want to do is talk to your student directly, and we want them to get the experience of raising issues with us so that we are aware of what's going on in their experience. And the student's experience directly from the student is the best information we can possibly get. So we ask that they come to us directly and talk through whatever concerns they may be having. And we ask that you direct them to do that or ask them to do that. Finally, if those concerns are not being resolved, even with their reaching out to our student staff or to our professional staff, we would encourage you to contact the residence director if those concerns persist, because we want to be aware of what's happening in our students' experience. And depending on the circumstances, we hopefully can help resolve whatever issues might exist. We will speak directly with your student after you've raised the issue with us and let us know that there's a concern. We'll go to your student and address that concern. And then we will ask your student to keep you in the loop on what's happening. So we try to avoid using you as the middle person in the conversation. So we prefer to address the concerns specifically with the student and then have the students keep you informed. But that for us would be a very helpful relationship and partnership between you as the parent and us as the Housing and Residence Life Department.
We wanted to ease your mind in regards to communal living during COVID-19, during the era here. We are doing everything in our power and responsibility, of course, informed by national, state, and regional health guidelines. We are creating a safe environment for your student to call home. In this unprecedented time, we're taking every precaution to create a positive experience, a positive living and learning experience. We are constantly cleaning our common areas, our common bathrooms, with deep cleaning from the support structure of our plant services team. We are posting maximum number signs in our lounges, our student spaces, so that we can keep and maintain a 6-foot distance. We also are putting in limitations in terms of access to buildings only for those who live in the building. And this is just to decrease the opportunity for cross-contamination and for different existence in different spaces to limit any cross-contamination of COVID-19. And then, of course, we're asking our students to abide by all university health protocols. And all those protocols are being sent to your student, to our staff, and to our faculty in regards to how do we properly exist on campus. A lot of that information you're going to be able to find on the ZAG on 2020 website. It's currently on our Gonzaga website. It's the main go-to area for frequently asked questions, what our health protocol is, what are we doing in regards to mitigating circumstances for increase of COVID-19 spread. So any question you may have, we'll likely have a response on ZAG on 2020.
So we appreciate your time and your attention to what we had to share with you today. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you have lingering questions that we haven't answered, we ask that you go to our webpage. Our webpage has frequently asked questions, as well as the ZAG on 2020 has housing's frequently asked questions as well. If you still need to talk through your questions with a live person, you can call our office, again, 509-313-4103. And that's available for you during business hours, Monday through Friday. We have trained staff who will answer whatever questions you may have. And then if you are so inclined, you could also email us, and we're glad to respond quickly to whatever inquiry you might have. But we are absolutely looking forward to welcoming your ZAGs back to campus. We hope that this is a great year. We understand the challenges that come along with the circumstances that we're all living with this academic year, and we hope that this experience will be just a blip in their college experience, and they'll have fond memories of their time on Gonzaga's campus. But we're here to help them and help you as well. So thank you for your attention. Have a good, healthy, and safe time, and we'll see you in August.
Take care. Go Zags.